Now, let's discuss it, because at this point, there are many activists who are supporting Teesta Setalvad, but many are also saying this is time that they have now been exposed. I'm joined on the panel tonight by Tushar Gupta. He's a senior editor of Swarajya. I'm also joined by journalist Yogesh Pawar. Yogesh, let's start with you, because Yogesh Pawar has been in support of Teesta Setalvad and Zakia Jafri. Now, what I can say here, Yogesh, is that everyone understands what possibly and supports and empathizes with Zakia Jafri. Even the top court has called her a real victim of circumstances. But what the court has said, and if I can just quote the court here, the antecedents of Teesta Setalvad need to be reckoned with, and also because she's been vindictively persecuting this for her ulterior designs by exploiting the emotions and sentiments of Zakia Jafri, who's the real victim of the circumstances. So the allegation is that she used a real victim for her motives. Yogesh.
Well, this is just a way of looking at things, but the fact remains that Zakia Jafri and late Ehsan Jafri, who was a freedom fighter and someone who carried the legacy of Indulal Yagnik, somebody who was mentored by Mahatma Gandhi himself. This man has never got justice, and his widow has been fighting, running from pillar to post, and at every point, her fight has been frustrated. The ecosystem that is created is trying to thwart her attempts at getting justice for so very long. Teesta has stood by her, and Teesta has only facilitated her trying to seek justice. To then rephrase this and make it into a point where she's tutoring, because the idea that she's tutoring witnesses and all, yesterday what the Solicitor General said has been continuously at every court of law. It has been proven to be wrong, and time and again, this is not the first time Teesta has been targeted by the people who are in power now, because they're really scared of her. They worry that this is the woman who continuously questions the system, continuously asks them to be accountable, and holds up the constitution to do so. So obviously they are unhappy, and a woman that too. So there is obviously a lot of anger, and then the system has reacted.
But this has come from
also,
the court, from the
point
Supreme
out
Court.
here that the Supreme Court itself has put out, since you mentioned the Supreme Court has said all the various charges that have been made out against Teesta, under that none of them are she can be imprisoned for 7 years, even if, let's say, these disputable and very problematic charges that have been made out against her. If that is the case, then by the Supreme Court's own guidelines, she cannot be arrested. Why was she arrested?
Tushar,
More than the fact that she came to arrest her, why was she assaulted today?
So, Tushar, the allegations that this abrupt arrest coming in from the Gujarat ATS,
and this regime, can go to any limits. We
know so an assault against her, and this is despite there are already 2 other cases also. This is about forgery and criminal conspiracy, but there's also about money laundering, that there was a collection drive that was taken. There were also money siphoned off. So there are serious allegations. But what Yogesh is saying, that this is deliberate attempt by a government right now, and they are going after her.
See, if the government had to go after her, they had 8 years to do so. They had 20 years before, since this unfortunate right happened. Let's get a few things very clear in the beginning. Teesta had a scattered mention in the 450-odd page report, the judgment that came from the Supreme Court yesterday. She's mentioned 46 times. So it's not a scattered mention once here or there that the state is now using to harass her or arrest her. She's properly mentioned, her role is properly cited in the Supreme Court judgment. The second thing we need to understand is today the arrest that has been made, the Supreme Court has cited enough evidence where there is question about her misusing the funds that were essentially meant for the riot victims. She intentionally kept the pot boiling. I like to quote from page 154 of the report, where it says that the allegations, the applicant was making again and again new allegations and was hoping that the justice system would, look into them, and she was being pushed by the likes of Teesta Setalvad. Now the question is, Teesta Setalvad, she has all the right to go to a battle against the state. She has all the right to go against the state when it comes to an unfortunate event like this. But the question is, why was the money that was meant for the riot victims being used by her for liquor and luxury? That's also been one of the reports on your channel.
Okay.
Correct.
Let's restrain our words also with regard to that you're using about what the money could have been used, Tushar. But also,
It was one of the headlines on India Today. I'm
What-
sorry, but
what-
it was one of the headlines on India Today.
okay, Yogesh, but I do have a question here. What Tushar is saying important. This is all.
Cannot bring a woman. See, look at the idea of how problematic this is.
No, but
Patriarchy
Yogesh,
speaks here.
no, it's not patriarchy. It's not patriarchy. Teesta has
No,
had
it's
serious
not
charges
patriarchy.
against
I'm
her.
sorry.
Okay, Yogesh, here's my question. Tushar, let me ask the question. The question is, you are saying
Let's not drag the women card. I'm sorry.
It's not that. But
or misuse have been repeatedly in various courts of law been proven wrong.
But these are current cases that are also on against her, Yogesh. But for you to say, okay, Yogesh, hear me out. Mr. Yogesh Pawar, hear me out. For you to say that Ehsan Jafri has not got justice at all,
then there is a problem.
On
So
2nd
why
June
should there be two
2016,
standards?
hear me out. 24 people are convicted by a special court in the Gulbarga society, and that specifically is with regard to the Gulbarga society killings that have taken place, which left 69 people dead, including Ehsan Jafri.
28 February
But
2002, yes.
But Zakia Jafri kept on going with petitions that there's a larger conspiracy, hinting and referring to the then Chief Minister Narendra Modi. The question court was also raising is that with these petitions that are also rejecting consistently, was there not Zakia Jafri but someone tutoring her, constantly pushing to target Narendra Modi, who's now got a clean chit?
Okay, so let me come to answer this one with saying that, the same, let's look at how the Gujarat Police and the Gujarat state government's track record when it comes to law and order and the swiftness with which it acts. Now, you mentioned 28th February 2002. On that day, Ehsan Jafri for hours together kept calling the police control room all kinds of senior police officials, and nobody came to their assistance. In fact, 5 minutes after the police commissioner assured him that enforcements and his safety, they will be protected and enforcements will be sent. 5 minutes after that, a mob broke in and
You know the timeline, Yogesh. What I'm saying is that the court did convict 24 people in the Gulbarga society
case. Who was
case.
the chief minister? So the buck has to
Okay.
stop at who was in power, because at that point in time, it is also true that this is a part of the Nanavati Commission statement that Sreekumar has made about what he told them about what was Narendra Modi alleged to have said then, that the Hindus should be led to vent their anger.
Okay,
So
we
this
will
is
not
something
go
is
in that,
part of
Yogesh,
the
because the
Nanavati
court has
Commission.
given a clean
I am
chit, so
not
let's not go with
problem.
allegations. Tushar, here's my question. Now that we talk about
No,
Teesta
if
Setalvad,
somebody is saying liquor and
but
whatever,
that
then
was
is
objected
also
to.
an allegation which is
Yogesh,
very
let's end it there.
problematic.
That was objected to. Tushar, at this point, because Teesta Setalvad has had cases against her, all of these allegations of misusing funds that were taken in the name of back then the riot victims. Do you think this could also expose that there have been people who have come across to appear to be reaching out for the victims but have misused their position?
Absolutely, absolutely. There are a lot of people, authors masquerading as activists, lawyers masquerading as some crusader of truth. A lot of people have actually run this as a business for the last 20 years. And that is what the Supreme Court indirectly said yesterday, that this entire business of keeping the pot boiling for one's own ulterior motives needs to come to an end. I'll give you one statement about the credibility of Teesta Setalvad. You know what did she say about the CAA? She said that the CAA is designed to be against the Muslims, against the Dalits, against the Adivasis of India. Tell me, where does it make sense? This is the credibility of a woman. She was at Singhu standing with the farmers who were the troublemakers on 26 January. It's not like we're talking about an activist with great credibility. Today, interrogation needs to happen as to who Teesta Setalvad was acting on the orders of. Where were the funds coming from? Why were the funds diverted? Who are these victims that were tutored? Why were they tutored? What was the motivation? It needs to come out in the open. Let me put this very importantly. Teesta is just one of the people in this entire ecosystem. The question that arises is, who was running, who was calling the shots within this ecosystem at the higher level? Was it a party? Was it an enemy state? Was it a private organization? Who was calling the shots? Who was
so let's take closing comments both from Yogesh and Tushar here. Yogesh, first to you at this point. I understand that you support Teesta and that's your view to take, but do you think at this point, if there's anyone who's misused their positions with regard to the riot victims, and there have been convictions in the past as well, and how there was also about the train burning, all of that has been brought in, that no activist or nobody should be misusing for their motives, if at all, as the court also says, with regard to the real riot victims?
There, you said it, Pooja, you said if at all. So then the if at all has been decided time and again by courts.
What I have
because
said
this
is
not the
like
first time.
Teesta Setalvad.
This
Yogesh,
ecosystem
like
has
Teesta
continuously
Setalvad.
gone after activist by tarnishing their name, their reputation, and bragging on these cases. The swiftness with which yesterday's case happened and today they immediately picked up Teesta. Did you see this same kind of swiftness happening when Ehsan Jafri was going on calling the same police machinery? Was that happening by the Gujarat state? No, it was not. It took its own sweet time. 9 hours after he was dead is when the rapid action force finally came in there. So this is a state machinery which has been complicit, and it has been repeatedly been borne out in various fact-finding reports. So for them to then run away from that, and I am saying that the Supreme Court has ruled in this, but that doesn't mean that a lady who has seen this carnage happen in front of her will not be trying to go on
Zakia Jafri was primarily with regard to her views on what happened in Gulbarga, but who was pushing the larger conspiracy. My final question, and you can give your view also there, Tushar, add on to what you have to say. At this point, do you think what is happening, as you can see, is going to be made out that this is clearly about them being deliberately targeted, and all of this was just standing up for the victims? But do you think if there is a conspiracy of using these victims, it needs to be called out? And therefore 2002, as we all know, have been constantly brought up in our narratives, you know, in compared to any other tragedy. 2002 has been constantly mentioned. With the Supreme Court today giving a clean chit to Narendra Modi, do you think it will end the matter? Should it end the matter? Or perhaps the courts are always open for anyone who wants to challenge it?
Pooja, see, this is a very important question. We keep going on loop in loop on what happened during the Godhra riots, who was responsible, who was calling the police. What we forget is convictions have been made. Convictions have been made. People have been sentenced for their role in the riots. But what we have seen with the likes of Teesta is that they are launching a manhunt against one person. And there is a larger element involved in it. The Godhra is just one of the issues. They can pick up CA tomorrow, NRC, NPR. The idea is to create a perception in the international forums that the government today, led by Narendra Modi, is anti-minority. This is the larger game that is being played out, that to create a perception that this government is anti-minority. Godhra is just one of the issues they're using. If they drop Godhra today, tomorrow they'll pick up CAA. 2 days later, it will be the farm laws. 3 days later, it will be the Ahmedabad program. They're just looking for issues, but the larger perspective is to frame this government as anti-minority and cause social unrest. This is what we must be very about.
And all I will say right now, because I'm slightly short on time, that, you know, there are a lot of reactions that have already come in. And could this become a precedent today? Because right now we can see that she has been taken into arrest. Will this lead to other cases as well? Could it become an example? Thank you so much, Yogesh Pawar and also Tushar Gupta, for speaking to me right now and giving your views on the arrest of Teesta Setalvad with regard to the 2002 Gujarat Riots cases.